light's on. The little red light's up here.
Oh, but there's no green light on here.
Hello. I'd like to begin this meeting of the Natural Resource Board for Tuesday, February 6, 2024. If we could, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we have roll call, please?
Yes. Dr. Moseblack? Here. Ms. Ware?
Present.
Ms. Billman? Here. Mr. Carano?
Here.
Mr. Stadelman?
I'm here.
Ms. Haggerty? Here.
All right, thanks for everybody coming. Greatly appreciate your participation tonight. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes from the January 2nd, 2024 meeting?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the January 2nd, 2024 meeting.
Thank you, Tom.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Donna. Is there any discussion on that? No discussion. Can we get a yes for an approval of the minutes of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
And a nay to not approve. The yeas have it. Approval of the minutes is passed. We'll move on to item 5, announcements. Are there any announcements?
I have one.
All right, Ms. Ware.
This Saturday, is the Sebastian Studio Art Tour, which is, in case you've never been on it, we have 13 guest artists throughout that live in Sebastian, and we provide a map so you can go around. It's from 10 to 3. I have flyers up here if anybody's interested. I am one of the stops on the tour, so if you want to come out and see a lot of awesome art, come by. Thanks.
All right, that's the 2024 Sebastian Studio Art Tour, February 10th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And is that at the, where is that?
It's at all those houses.
Oh, it's a regular tour at all these houses. So you'll want to get the map for sure. And the map will show you all the houses to go to. Thank you very much for that, Donna. Are there any additional announcements?
I did just want to take a second to introduce all of you to Catherine, our deputy clerk. I believe this is the first time you'd be interacting with her, so I'd like to give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Walker, for clerking here. I remember those days. Are there any additional announcements? Not seeing any. We'll move on to number 6. Any agenda modifications? Not seeing any. We'll move on to number 7, public input. Is there any public input today? Anybody on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Joseph. Greatly appreciate you being here too, sir. And not seeing any public input, we'll move on to number 8, unfinished business. Does the Natural Resource Board have any unfinished business we need to discuss tonight? Great, excellent. We've been very efficient lately. Not seeing any unfinished business. We'll move on to item A of the Tulip Pond Project, Florida Arbor Day planning event. I think we've already done that. Am I on the right one here? Yeah, you're good. Okay. The Florida Friday, January 19th, 2024. Oh, this is the event debrief. I apologize. Okay, the event debrief. It was great.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to Charles for being there. We had a wonderful event. The 8 trees were planted with the help of Parks and Rec staff and Public Works staff. Mayor Dodd and Councilman Jones were there, as well as a few members of the community. And Nikki Monroe did a fantastic job leading the charge in the planting effort, and we are looking forward to our next planting event for the Tulip Pond Project, which will take place towards the end of April, tentatively, and it'll be likely the weekend after Earth Day. So stay tuned for that, and I'll keep you posted on the details.
Fantastic. If everybody's not familiar with Tulip Pond Project, it is a demonstration project. Commercial uses of it can lead to a tax credit of some sort. It's also good for stormwater drainage for the area, and obviously it's a park for people to use for everyday use. So it's a great project from the Natural Resource Board in the city of Sebastian. Okay, is there anything else for item A?
I have,
Go ahead.
I just want to check, are there other things that need to be done at Tulip, or are we finished with it now?
So as far as, the tree planting, we've completed that portion of it. Our second phase is going to be the littoral zone and the shoreline and the remaining upland plantings, because due to frost concerns, we didn't move forward with planting anything additional besides just the trees. We wanted to make sure that those plants were actually able to establish, so we bumped that to the next planting day, and that planting date in April will be when we move forward with the remainder of the plantings. And then from that point, we'll be working, or between now and then, we'll be working on the signage and wrapping up the other portions of the project that don't necessarily involve volunteership.
Great, thank you.
Fantastic. And I'd like to thank Mayor Ed Dodd for coming out, and Councilman Fred Jones was out there, and they both got their hands dirty, digging in the dirt, planting those trees, and they'll be there giving shade hopefully long after we're gone. Okay, anything else for item A, Tulip Pond Project? All right, not seeing anything, we'll move on to item B, Sustainable Sebastian. And first, we'll go with staff update.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to be presenting to you the results from our staff sustainability questionnaire.
Yay.
Yay. So just to do a little recap, the purpose was to, of course, assess the practices of our city staff in regards to environmental practices within the workplace on a day-to-day basis. It was conducted between December 18th and January 18th. We received the submissions online in paper copies and some PDFs that were emailed. There were 27 total participants, which was more than I expected, so I'm quite appreciative of that. And just to note, there are a couple charts in the presentation that I had to reformat because the way they came out in the survey format, it wasn't really legible, so I had to reformat it for our viewing purposes. So here we have our department breakdown of everyone who responded. Out of the 27 people, you can see who came from what department. The majority of our responses came from the Public Works Department, followed by the Police Department, and so on. And then to break it down a little further, you can see the divisions that were mentioned by the respondents. There was one person who specifically said from PD that they were part of dispatch, and then there were some people from Public Works that said they were part of roads or specifically part of the stormwater divisions. And then there were others from those departments that did not specify. All right, so we started off with our energy and regarding fuel and electricity usage and how often people use city vehicles. You can see it was pretty evenly split, minus a few people who only use the vehicles 1 to 2 times per week. Now, the next question, when using a city vehicle, how long do you leave the engine running when it is unattended? We had a good number of respondents who said that they never do so, but there were also a lot of respondents that said that it either wasn't applicable or that there was longer than 10 minutes. Our next question applies to, offering a brief description as to why the circumstances under which that would take place. And some of these circumstances were actually referenced in some of the other answers later on down the line. Moving on from that, besides vehicle usage, how often do you leave your lights on when you are at work? And we actually happen to have in our new public works facility, there are lights that are on sensors. So a good number of our respondents, 37%, said that, they don't have to worry about it because the lights are on sensors. So that's good to know that that actually, has an impact. And the rest of our respondents, we actually had one person who indicated that, of course, they don't have an office, so it's not even applicable to them. And that is the case for some other questions that you'll see later on. All right, now as far as whether or not somebody shuts off their computer at the end of the day, like I said before, for some people this simply isn't applicable, and there were respondents who don't have computers, and those are likely people who are out in the field doing, work for Public Works, and they don't have a desk job, so it doesn't apply to them. Now, here we come to our waste output, referring to trash and recycling. And paper took the cake when it comes to how often people throw away items, followed closely by food wrappers and containers. And then you'll see something unique, that empty cement bags were noted, which if that's something part of someone's everyday job here at the city, then that would account for that particular reason. All right. And based on the response to the previous question, how many of those items could be recycled? And I would like to point out that about 14.8% didn't actually know the answer to that question. Now, this one was one of the charts that I did have to reformat. We got a varying number of responses, so some people gave a single number, some people gave multiple digits, so that's why the spread is, as you can see here. And I found it particularly interesting that there is a gap between 11 items and 19 items. Like, you either throw out items on the lower end or on the high end, but for some reason there's a gap in those numbers. All right, and we get to our reusable items, finding out what people are currently doing that might be more on the sustainable side. And cups and mugs, we had 20 respondents say that they use those items, which is pretty fantastic. Here you'll find we start to get into the areas for improvement. Just to clarify a little bit, on the side where it says associates the key, fuel consumption is referring to vehicles, gas-powered tools, and et cetera. Water consumption is referring to toilets, sinks, and sprinklers, and other water sources. Waste output is referring to the amount thrown out or recycled. Trash is, and then we had a couple manually input responses, so there were some people who said, trash thrown around parks, waterways, and empty lots. And there are some people who weren't sure of other employees' practices, which makes sense because if you don't know where the problem areas lie, then it's really hard to prioritize. All right, and then here we have the written responses, or a summary of the written responses, and I know it is a bit of a wall of text. But you can see kind of where the main points fell under electricity consumption, fuel consumption, water consumption, waste output, followed by a few things related to lifestyle, finishing projects that we start, protecting our environment, and then, of course, response relating to not knowing what other employee practices are. There were 2 respondents that thought that things were being handled decently, and then there were also 2 respondents who didn't know what to say or didn't offer any response. And then the next question was in regards to any additional suggestions that they might have for areas for improvement. And again, apologize for the wall of text, but these are the main points that people had. And there were 3 employees who filled out the survey but did not offer any additional responses. So, thank you all. Oh, this one? Of course.
Does anybody have any questions for Felicia? One of the things I really got from that was that you had a good response from a wide range of departments. So that was really good. So you really got it out there, and it looks like the city itself is responding quite favorably to what's going on. So it's really good that we've got this inclusion in. And I was also surprised to see that the waste output, basically what we're talking about, is the number one thing that they were concerned about, and that was something they thought we could do something about. So it's kind of nice to see the correlation between what we're talking about today and what is on the minds of everybody out there. And then it was nice to see over 50% of everybody out there is turning the lights off and not running their cars. So there was a lot of good stuff in that report. 27 responses. I don't know how many people you sent it out to altogether, but it sounded like a good return on, if you sent it out to 100 people, it was 25%. If you sent it out to 200. So,
I think it was about 10% of the staff population, if you will.
well, to give you a heads up, out in the corporate world, if we get a 3 to 5% return on a survey, we're like, yay! So, you did fantastic. So it's really great. It's good information, and I'm sure as time goes by, we're going to be able to glean whatever we can from it. So we greatly appreciate that. Do you have any additional input on your survey?
I do want to mention that if the board members would like to look over the results, especially the written responses, and send me your feedback on what you think might be areas that we can move forward and prioritize, especially if we're considering the next steps after the Sustainable Sebastian Action Plan, as it's written, is finished, what we'd like to focus on next. So that this will be a good pivot point to work from.
Fantastic.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Ms. Ware.
Okay, so I think this is fantastic. I really appreciate the time they took to respond to this. And as far as the next steps that we're talking about, I want to know, like, is it feasible for us to sit down with somebody within the city structure or to actually plan things with them and to bring them these results? Is that something that we can do as a board, or is that something that we have to bring to the city council to talk about with the people that make the decisions here as far as, the steps we want to do?
So, I mean, we do have meetings scheduled upcoming, say, with Richard Blankenship of our Parks Department to help us move forward and make more sustainable changes within the city. And we have been in conversation with, say, facilities, discussing, current purchasing practices and whatnot that might be relevant in this case.
In addition, in April, we will be presenting to City Council. City Council has asked for every board to do an update, like a once-a-year check-in. And so in April, Natural Resources is scheduled to, Natural Resources is scheduled to talk to City Council about the great things that are happening. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ware. Is there any additional comments on the survey Felicia has presented from the city? No?
Other than job well done, thank you, Felicia. That was a lot of work, I know.
Fantastic. Okay. That was great staff update.
And Charles, pardon, I actually have a few more updates for you. That was just part one
I'm
of
sorry.
my updates.
All right. Do we have any more staff update, Ms. Gordian? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Charles. So for our next update, just to recap on some of the wonderful things that have been accomplished so far, we've talked, I've talked to you all about, especially at previous presentations discussing Sustainable Sebastian, what has already been accomplished, and to kind of reiterate that and also touch on some things that haven't necessarily been brought up since that last update. So one thing that has happened, as of January 2024, all staff members have their own reusable cups to use. So everybody has that tool at their disposal, and now there's less excuses for using disposables. We've maintained Tree City USA status for 22 years, and we have just achieved our 2023 Tree City USA status. So let's keep that going for 2024. As you know, water bottle refill stations were placed in city parks that were installed and purchased in 2021. 16 bike racks were installed around the city back in 2021 as well. The Natural Resources Board, as you know, has worked in conjunction with Marine Industries Association to host the Treasure Coast Waterway cleanup for at least 3 years in a row, which is wonderful, and I hope we will be able to pursue that further and pursue other cleanup opportunities. And the Natural Resources Board helped with 2 IPM plans, and those have been a significant part of the work that the city is doing right now. Sustainability was incorporated into the 2040 comp plan, not only Sustainable Sebastian, but provisions for more sustainability to come. Grants, of course, for things like the Tulip Drive Stormwater Pond, lovingly known as our Tulip Pond project. And that was, with the help of the Natural Resources Board saying we endorse this. We have the new city public works compound, which I mentioned during the previous presentation, that has automatic shut-off timers for the lights. So if somebody walks out of their office, they're not in their office for a given amount of time, and the lights automatically shut off. Or in the case of some people, they sit still long enough, and the lights will shut off on them anyways. But at least we know that they're working. And last but not least, transitioning to LED bulbs wherever possible in city facilities. That is already something that has been ongoing and will continue until they phase out all the previous bulbs.
Is there any additional comments on any of the staff update? I'd just like to say congratulations to everybody on the 24 years of Tree City Sebastian, and thanks for all the hard work at the 3 years of the waterway cleanup. Everybody that's here on this board has been to the 3 year of the waterway cleanup. I'm pretty sure of it. And all the other work you guys have done, it's really starting to pay off. We can see it in the new construction of these buildings. We can see it in our parks. We can see it in our stormwater plans. So the things that we're doing are starting to come to fruition. I can hear it out there in public. They're seeing that we're not spraying the water plants out in the canals like they were. They're not complaining about the ants. There's a lot going on, and we're just now starting to see the benefits of all that. So, all I can say is thank you, and let's keep up the good work. Any additional comments on staff update?
I do have
Yes.
2 more staff updates.
You got it.
So part 3, if you all would like to flip to the sustainable event guide within your agenda packet, you'll see what we have put together so far for something to give to vendors, let's say, for our Earth Day event, and offer them an opportunity to transition away from single-use plastics. And this just gives some brief information, goes over what single-use plastics are, what to be on the lookout for, why it matters, some simple methods for transitioning away from single-use plastics, steps to ensure a successful event without single-use plastics, some tools that they can use to get started, and a list of product suppliers.
Now, this is an event, or I don't recall planning this, or is this going to be for Earth Day, or?
So this is an event guide that will be given out to all the vendors who will be participating in
For
Earth Day.
okay, gotcha.
Yes, so.
Like another event.
Yeah, no, not a separate event, just a tool for the
Gotcha.
event.
All right. Just for clarification. And I take it this is going to be like everything else we do. It's a living, breathing, ready to change. We can add to it, delete from it as we go, depending on what we find.
Yes, and like as of right now, it's dated 2024, so this will be the guide that we use for the rest of this year. Next year, if we feel that more updates are necessary, we'll make adjustments.
Another question.
Yeah.
This is just for Earth Day, though. Are we going to be implementing this for other events at the park within the city? Is that
Ideally, yes, moving forward. Earth Day is kind of our pilot, if you will.
Right.
And, but we would like to, promote this in other areas with other events as possible.
Okay.
Great idea. Anybody have any additional comments on our sustainable event guide?
Just to follow up with the comment about, other areas in which we'll be using this, we have also had discussions with the Chamber of Commerce regarding the event guide, and they've seen it, and we're hoping to work with them on promoting this with their business community, or the business community, because it is our community.
Excellent.
Felicia, may I just ask a question? So with this information, has this packet been submitted to anybody, or have we gotten any feedback from people that it will be affecting, the vendors and so forth?
Not yet. No, it hasn't been distributed to vendors yet.
Okay.
We wanted to present it to the board prior to doing that. We thought that that was most appropriate.
Thank you, Ms. Bernard. Are there any additional questions on the sustainable event guide? All right, another staff announcement.
Yes, one more update. I have a couple proposed updates to our Sustainable Sebastian Action Plan because we've been including dates and proposed due dates and proposed completion dates. So there are two things I'd like to adjust. The date for the completion of the staff workshop, I'm proposing that we change it to Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. And the date for the completion of the education program with local schools, I'm proposing that we change that to Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. And those, I believe, both fall under our single-use plastics goal.
What was the first date for the workshop?
February 21st.
And then what was the second date for the schools?
March 5th.
I'm okay with both of them because if they fall under my plastics, I'm okay. Does anybody need any input on that? All right, not seeing any. Thank you very much for that follow-up, Felicia. I just will follow along on your dates because I can't change them. Any additional comment on any of that? Are there any additional staff updates? Yay for all that information, though. Thank you for all your great hard work. Okay, that's item one. We'll move on to item two, reduction of single-use plastics. And that will be done by a presentation by me, Mr. Stadelman. Wow, look at that. I'm on the big screen, finally. It took me 7 years to get here. Am I working? Can everybody hear me? Okay, let me see. You'll have to excuse me because this is the first time I've been able to do this. Ever. Do I just use this? Pen? Well, just hit the next button on it? Awesome. Okay. All right, we're starting out. You guys can all see the slides and everything. Okay, well, good evening to everyone here. I want to begin by first expressing my sincere and deep gratitude to the dedication and to the members of the Natural Resource Board. Let me catch my breath for a second. They told me to breathe before I got up here. My deep gratitude to the dedicated members of the Natural Resource Board and the incredible city staff for their collaborative spirit and tireless efforts in advancing the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative. You guys are the backbone of this endeavor, and your commitment to our city's well-being truly shines through. I also extend my heartfelt appreciation to Mayor Ed Dodd, Vice Mayor Cynthia Dixon, and the rest of the City Council, Fred Jones, Bob McPartland, and Christopher Nunn, for their leadership and unwavering support. Your vision for a resilient and sustainable Sebastian inspires us all. Today, we embark on a crucial journey, embracing a future where single-use plastics no longer hold us captive. This is not just about addressing an environmental challenge of our time. It is also about unlocking a treasure trove of opportunity for our city. Just imagine a Sebastian on a clean lagoon with fishing and clamming like it used to be, clean beaches and waterways underneath the sunshine and fresh, clean air to breathe, and the lagoon full of thriving wildlife. All of us living in a vibrant, thriving community whose citizens are united in its commitment to a better future for our community, Sebastian, Florida. This is the future we can build together. Throughout this presentation, I invite you on this exciting path. Let's explore innovative solutions, celebrate individual and collective action, and unleash the power of a dedicated community. But please remember, every small step counts. Together, we can make a profound difference for Sebastian, for our planet, and for generations to come. But why are we here in the first place? And why should we address single-use plastics? It's to promote Sebastian as an eco-friendly, healthy place to live, work, and play. is to protect for future generations the waterways, lagoon, ocean, and wildlife. Sebastian is located on the Indian River Lagoon, a vital ecosystem crucial for Florida's marine life. Single-use plastics pollute the lagoon, pollute the ocean, harm wildlife. Gotta breathe. And harm wildlife through the entanglement and ingestion of single-use plastics. We want to end polluting litter and microplastics. Every year, 8 million tons of plastics end up in the oceans, and every year it just gets worse. But how long does it take for these plastics to decompose? Some say 10 years, some say 100. Grocery bags take 20, foam cups take 50. It could be up to 450 years for some plastic bottles. And it's important to note that these figures only represent the plastic waste generated from the production of single-use plastics. The total amount of plastic waste generated globally is estimated to be around 460 million metric tons. The Plastic Waste Makers Index also found that just one small group, about 10 companies, produce about 90% of the world's single-use plastics. The City of Sebastian is calling on all people, all governments and businesses to take action to reduce single-use plastic waste, such as by implementing policies and procedures and corrective legislative action as needed on single-use plastic items, investing in recycling infrastructure, and supporting the development of alternatives to single-use plastics. But how are we going to do this? We're going to do this through balance and knowledge. We're going to find the sweet spot between environmental responsibility and economic progress. We're going to understand our impact using resources like the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative to track and maintain our progress. But why are we going to do this? Because the rewards are abundant. We're going to live in a healthier community with clean water, clean beaches. We're going to be able to go out on those waterway cleanups and not pick up 650 pounds of plastic. We're going to make Sebastian a haven for residents and a magnet for eco-conscious tourists and visitors. It's going to create an economic advantage in Sebastian. We're going to get a reputation as a sustainable leader to attract new businesses, boosting our economy and creating exciting opportunities. We're going to build a stronger community by working together on events like Earth Day and Arbor Day. And this will build a stronger sense of belonging and shared purpose. And still remember, every small step counts. Reducing single-use plastics protects our environment and promises a better day for tomorrow and promotes better public health. It helps make conscious choices, supporting local businesses and sustainable practices. It's going to leave a legacy of a city that thrives in harmony with its environment and its people. But what is the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative? The Sustainable Sebastian Initiative is a leap into a greener future. A future where our beaches are clean, our waterways teem with fish, and businesses flourish in harmony with nature. And if this sounds like something that is good for all of us, then join in this first wave of the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative for overall reduction in single-use plastics by ditching plastic and embracing value. For too long, single-use plastics have cast a shadow on our beautiful city. They litter our streets, choke our oceans, gotta breathe, and threaten our very way of life. But enough is enough, and we must rise to meet this challenge with innovation and collective action. Sustainable Sebastian just isn't a slogan, it's a battle cry. We'll banish plastic bags and disposable cutlery, replace them with reusable alternatives that reflect our commitment to Sustainable Sebastian. But this revolution isn't just about saying no to plastic, it's about saying yes to progress and innovation. We'll support our businesses in adapting sustainable practices, helping them discover new value-added products that benefit both their bottom line and our planet. Think of locally sourced, eco-friendly alternatives that resonate with consumers who care about the environment and their community. This is more than just an initiative, it's a movement. It's about empowering our community to make conscious choices, celebrating local businesses that embrace sustainability, and building a future where Sebastian is synonymous with environmental responsibility and economic prosperity. Excuse me, I have to get something to drink. Gotta learn to breathe. So let's work together and let's ditch the plastic. Thank you. To embrace value. Together we can make Sebastian a beacon of sustainability and a city where progress and nature thrive hand in hand. But the time for action is now. So let's answer this call and build a future that is both vibrant and green. Now, the easiest thing to do would be just to ban it. Now, let's talk about the ban everything question. While it's understandable, we do believe in finding collaborative solutions that work for everybody. We want to empower our community to make sustainable choices, not restrict them. By working together, we can achieve even greater results. And would a ban actually work, and would it be balanced? Well, first, businesses would be prohibited from providing those single-use plastic bags. The take-back recycling programs would be implemented so bags are brought back to the system. Restaurants and cafes would not be allowed to use disposable plastic cups, and businesses would provide an alternative to those forks and spoons and plates, takeouts. Similar to cups, businesses would also provide an opportunity for customers to bring their own. But right now, there's a law going through to prevent a ban. It's not finalized yet, but they want to ban you being able to ban plastic bags. Excuse me, I'm sweating a little bit. What I'd like to do is just ask the board, what do you think about the ban for plastic? Yeah, I'm running out of time here. I need some more time.
Did you start the timer?
Yeah, they start the timer.
I didn't watch.
So could you repeat that last sentence? You're asking the board?
Yeah, what do you guys think about a ban?
Well, isn't in Florida it'd be against the law to ban plastics?
Excuse me, I'm sweating.
In the state of Florida, it'd be against the law for a municipality to ban plastics.
It's
So
not complete yet. They, there's a legality thing on the wording. So several municipalities have passed it. They're going to be all challenged. But the law is passed, but they haven't passed the actual wording on how it's going to be worded. So if you wanted to pass a ban, now would be the time to do it. That's pretty much what I'm saying. But we're not really looking forward to that. It doesn't really, from what I can see, my research says that you pass the ban, they buy a whole bunch of other stuff that's not recyclable. So I'm not recommending the ban, but I wanted to at least get the opinion of the board.
Who is recommending the ban?
Ms. Haggerty?
Who is recommending the ban on the ban? So like,
That comes right from the governor's office and the legislative that's in power right now, whoever's running up there.
I guess my question is why, though?
Why? Well, according to my research, would be businesses would be displaced, and they don't have good alternatives to it. So, and they're kind of right, because the New Jersey did a ban, and the things that they bought to replace what they banned, one hardly can't be recycled, and two went up 60%. So whatever they purchased in its place double, tripled what they were already purchasing. So there's good and there's bad.
So, Charles, on one thought I had about this is I know that there have got to be places, I don't know about municipalities, but like restrictions would probably come more to businesses. Like, for example, other places have like deposits on bottles and cans and stuff. Other places, they don't give you plastic bags. You either bring your own or you pay 5 cents for a paper bag. So I know that there are other places that have these types of programs going on. So maybe it would sort of behoove us to kind of check into other, maybe not here in Florida, but even other places. So are there places in Florida that have implemented programs like this?
Oh, absolutely. And we were given some examples on what other cities are already doing, as well as I pulled up a lot of examples as well. And it ranges from everything from what we're trying to do to a ban. For me, I don't ban anything. I believe in personal responsibility, but it's kind of hard to get that across to most people. And in this day and age, it seems to have gone by the wayside. So I don't know. But I just wanted to get the opinion of the board to see where you guys thought about it and to let you know what I was thinking about it with the whole plastic initiative. Does anybody else have any other comments? Can I
You
have
got 5 minutes left,
back
Charles.
for my discussion?
Would this be something maybe we could do during either Earth Day or something to maybe have a booth or people kind of doing like a little survey of what do you think, the general public, that being with Earth Day and Sustainable Sebastian, to get some input from the public, what their thoughts are, what they would be comfortable with, things to give us a little more direction of what we could do and what people are maybe thinking about is acceptable?
No, we can do whatever we like. I mean, we can set it up, and we don't really have to ask for permission. To be honest with you, I'm just asking for permission to be nice. If we vote on it as a board, it gets done. You know, it's pretty much it. So if that's your idea, just bring it up to the board, and if it's got legs, we'll make it run. I'm going to run out of time here. Would you guys give me 5 extra minutes?
Charles, perhaps maybe you'd like to come back for the next, for the remainder of your presentation at the March meeting, and that way you have a full 15. Yeah, you'll have
Another full 15
yeah,
minutes?
you'll have a full set of time.
Okay, I can do that. All right, guys, I'm going to hold off on doing the rest of this because I am out of time. I apologize. 15 minutes goes by pretty quick. And that's where I'm at for right now. So we'll hold off on the rest till next meeting.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Well, I think that I just would like to say that I think Sheridan's idea is great, and I would like to make a motion that we do have some kind of survey at Earth Day.
That would be fine.
You have to second it.
Oh, I second the motion.
Sorry.
This was like quick.
So we have a motion
Oh, wait.
to do the survey.
What is the motion?
I made a motion that we would prepare a survey for the public, asking them same kind of questions, similar to what we put together for the employees, maybe in a more generalized fashion to see how they would respond. So we can have some data to go forward with as far as how our community feels. So I
Okay.
made a motion and Sheridan seconded.
It's already been seconded?
Yep.
Oh, wow, I'm a little behind here, aren't I? Well, that's what happens when you get from the podium to the steps.
Now, all you have to do is say all in favor.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to prepare a survey?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays for not being in favor? Okay, motion passed to prepare a survey. Yeah, that was quick, 15 minutes. We're gonna have to give me some more time. I was even prepared. Okay, let's move on to item 3, native landscaping. And I don't think we're gonna get, Ms. Billman?
I think at this point, Felicia and I have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Blankenship, I think it's in 2 weeks on a Monday, to talk a little bit more about what we're going to possibly proceed with planting and so forth. And so that's coming up pretty quick. And then the other part was, let me see here. And then the demonstration gardens, I do have some information, and I also wanted to ask, with Nikki Monroe, will she be able to kind of be part of this as far as like giving us a little more guidelines on what's appropriate, or maybe to show us some like inspiration plantings that she's done to kind of put us in like a direction of what she think would be more feasible for what we're proposing.
We can certainly talk to her about that. I guess that would mostly depend on her availability, but I'm sure she's got examples she'd be happy to show us, if nothing else. And, we can talk to her about her availability for actually helping us move forward with our upcoming projects.
Okay, so at this point, then I guess I'm just waiting to kind of get a little bit more boots on the ground to see what we've got going on and where we're going and what we're going to be putting in. So hopefully it's going to start pretty soon. Thank you.
Okay, any additional comments on native landscaping? Thank you, Ms. Billman. Move on to item 4, tree protection and landscape ordinances. Mr. Carano?
Yeah, I think the next thing that we need to do is get together, and I need to see the process from beginning to end, from the time the applications come in, to the time that they're worked on, and to see how a decision is made. And I would suggest we do that after Earth Day. Okay, because the next 2 months should be about Earth Day.
Any additional comments on tree protection and landscape ordinances? Okay, move on to item 5, resource conservation. And Ms. Ware?
Hi, I just think that I met with Felicia and we went over a couple of other cities' information packets. One of them was the Stewart one, and also the Sarasota County has unbelievable amounts of information on their website, outreach programs already in place, including workshops for the public. And I've reached out to their outreach person to ask if we could have, they have videos, they have actual workshops that we could model them after. And rather than start from the beginning, it's a lot easier if we can start with information from these other cities that have, for the last 3 years, things in place that are working in their area. So I think it's amazing that, you know, they can get to that particular space. And for Sarasota, it's the county that's driving that, and they're working with UFAS extensions, which I suggested that we reach out to our local extension to see if they have outreach. I only talked to one person within that organization that's in charge of the 4-H program and asked her for information. If, you know, they have an awful big program here in the county. There's an awful lot of different areas that they could be supporting sustainability with farming and with animals and things like that. And if they have other community outreach programs in place, that maybe we could ask them to come here and present at a future time. So that's where I'm working right now.
That's great. Fantastic. Is Sarasota, is that Charlotte County, or do you know what county it is?
No, it's Sarasota County.
Sarasota County.
Yes. It's over on the other coast.
Oh, yeah. Just below
They have
Tampa.
a lot of money over there. But they also have ordinances against plastics in place.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Ware. Greatly appreciate that. Any additional comments on resource conservation? All right.
I have one other thing that was in the Stewart package links that Sheridan had received, and these are just suggestions. I know we would need a lot more work behind it, but I also think that waste management has programs in other municipalities that we should be able to ask them for help with the waste collection ideas. Felicia and I talked about maybe having, since we have the airport over there, maybe we could have an electronics recycling thing over there, because there's an awful lot of electronic waste that just gets dumped in the landfills, you know, that could be recycled. And maybe even a community garden or composting at that location too. I think that both of those things would really help the sustainability, and it would also be feasible to have one central location to do that. So they were my suggestions to follow up.
Fantastic suggestions.
Donna, on that, I think the composting thing, I hadn't really thought about that before, but I mean just like with all the trees, like where people could come and just mulch all their stuff, where we could have a place where the residents could mulch their things, and then they could pick up compost.
They do have one of them in Vero. They do have a place that mulches.
With the city, though?
It's not, I don't think,
No,
I think it's the
it's-
county. I think it's the county. I know that there's a place that does all the mulching, that you can bring stuff to get mulch there, and you can pick up mulch. I don't know exactly where it is, but I've heard about it.
But, yeah, I do like that idea of having the availability of people getting their own mulch and stuff here for gardens and so forth. That would be great. Something to think about.
Fantastic. Is there any additional comments on resource conservation? Not seeing any. Thank you, Ms. Ware. Greatly appreciate that. Moving on to item 6, green infrastructure and low impact development. Dr. Mosbleck, I know you're on Zoom. Do you want to present on Zoom tonight, or would you like to wait till you come back in?
I can make a quick summary if you all can hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Sure can.
Okay, so this month I visited 3 more parks. I went to Blossom Street Park, Schumann Park, and Lake Hardy Park. And I won't go through it in detail because I know we have Earth Day things to go through. A lot of the observations were very similar to what I've seen in the past, where we've got some of the same trees. I don't see much in the way of animal diversity. Blossom Street Park was totally empty when we were there. I don't see much use, or haven't seen much use. Schumann Park, you had some of the tennis players and the sports there, so it was being used. One of the things that stuck out to me was Lake Hardy Park as a place that was really busy, and it happened to be, started raining when we first got there, and people were sticking it out. They were walking around, using the trails, using the kind of the fitness path that they've got. And so I thought that that might be a really interesting place if we're thinking about creating some kind of a native garden or putting up educational signage about sustainable Sebastian or things in our area. That seemed like a park that was really kind of highly, there are a lot of visitors, and so it might be one that we could put at our top of our list for something like that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Mosbleck. Does anybody, Dr. Mosbleck, does anybody have any comments for Dr. Mosbleck? Ms. Hagerty?
I just want to mention that I do think there is somebody has a garden there, don't they, at Hardy Park?
Yeah, there is. There's this little kind of, I wasn't quite sure exactly who, I didn't see any signage, maybe I missed it. But there is almost like this little fenced off area, so I'm not sure what they're using it for or who's in charge of it. Maybe Felicia would know. But it seemed like that might be kind of an area that would have potential.
Well, there used to be signage on that park. I don't remember who did it, but I remember there used to be signage there.
I know that when I was there last year, it actually was a butterfly garden.
I was going to say that. I thought it was a butterfly garden.
But what's happened is everything's overgrown, so it doesn't get a whole lot of sun. So it's not really a good space for a butterfly garden. So if we're going to put a butterfly garden somewhere, it needs to be in the sun.
And there is, in that area, there is a huge, open area. And it was really cool. There was a little cypress stand there. And it looked like there were some areas where it was wetter or had, kind of the soil conditions were different. I don't know if there's potential for us to expand the cypress or if we wanted to use the sunny areas for butterfly garden. But that area seemed like it had a lot of potential.
Thank you, Dr. Mosbleck. Is there any additional comments or questions for green infrastructure or low impact development?
Yes, I have one comment. I know that Hardy Park is one of the larger parks that does sort of encourage people getting up and walking around and kind of taking in the whole area. So my other question would be, what other parks do we have that have that capability? I believe there was one, is it Filbert Park? I think it's a large tract. There's nothing there but an open field. And that might be something else that could be maybe developed to where we do have areas that have like the trees and little thickets that people can kind of walk through. Also, shade being, to me, is like the most important thing to get people into the parks, because nobody wants to walk around in the sun. They want to walk around where they're shaded and they can enjoy it. So that's why I'm a huge proponent of the bigger trees you can plant now, the oaks, to get them out there, like in Vero, how they have at Riverside Park. I don't know if anyone's walked that they have a wonderful jogging trail through these giant oaks that is just fabulous. So you can't get enough of them, I'm sorry. So, but I just
okay.
really feel that they're like the go-to tree. And I think being a tree city, we should really be more proactive on putting in large sustainable shade trees, because we are losing so many trees, and I don't know how we can keep Tree City when so many trees are being destroyed. So I just think we need to be a little more proactive on getting large native trees back in our landscape.
Thank you very much, Ms. Billman. Is there any additional comments for green infrastructure or low-impact development? Okay, not seeing anything. Thank you, Dr. Mosblack. Greatly appreciate your participation and your hard work last month. Moving on to item 7, sidewalks and bikeways. Report by Ms. Hagerty.
I have just adopted this.
Yes, that's what we thought.
So I'm not ready to give any any information on that just quite yet.
I was doing it before you, and I would say there's a sidewalk.
Yeah, I do have some things, but I definitely have to look over before I share anything.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you very much. Okay, not seeing any additional items to go over for the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative. We'll move on to item C. Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration is going to be held Saturday, April 20th, 2024. This year it is part of the Sebastian Centennial Celebration. So if everybody can go to the city's website and follow along the Centennial celebrations, there's something happening every month, every weekend, somewhere. So it's our 100-year birthday. Happy birthday, Sebastian. And if we can get a report from Ms. Gordian, you have something for us for this?
All right, so I'll go through some of the things in the celebration plans, but as in your agenda packet, at the very back of your packet, you'll see a copy of the history of the Natural Resources Board timeline that I've put together. That is something we can have as an outreach item at our Earth Day booth, and you can kind of talk to people about, engage with people as part of the Centennial, talking about the history of Sebastian and how Sebastian came to be. Why not talk about, as we discussed at the last meeting, how the Natural Resources Board came to be. Just to kind of go over it real quick, City of Sebastian was founded 1924. Hardy oak was the first oak ever deemed as a historic tree in Sebastian. The Tree and Landscape Advisory Board was formed in 1995. The tree board hosted its first Arbor Day planting, which was on January 19th in 1996. The first art contest was incorporated into that Arbor Day celebration in 97. The city got its first website in 97, and the first Tree City USA designation. The city amended the ordinance in 2007 to create the Natural Resources Board from the Tree and Landscape Advisory Board and the Temporary Environmental Committee. The very first Natural Resources Board Earth Day event took place in 2008, and here we are. We have a Sustainable Sebastian resolution that was passed in 2019, and we're going on 100 years of Sebastian. So. If you have any, comments or feedback for me on this, I'd appreciate it. But this is the kind of thing that we're looking towards. We'll have this at the booth. If there's any other additional pieces of information that we should have to go along with this, let me know.
It's pretty solid. I mean, the only other things I would have don't refer to Sebastian so much, like Pelican Island, when was that formed, things like that. Because for me, Sebastian's always been at the forefront of sustainability because of Pelican Island. I mean, it's the world's first wildlife refuge. So it's It's just the way it is. But other than that, it looks fantastic. Does anybody else have any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Gordian, for such great work.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions about our Earth Day or Arbor Day celebration coming up on Saturday, April 20th, 2024?
Charles, yes, I'll go through I just wanted to start with that just to, get that to make sure everybody recognized that we had this. But I'll go through some of the other planned stuff.
Rotary did say they would host the beer.
Yes, and I actually, I met with Mark Gingras on Friday last week at Riverview to find out what spot specifically they would need for their setup. He said that this year they are hoping to do pizza along with the beer. The beer will be the Thanks Teddy Centennial beer, and along with some variety of Yingling. I'm not sure which variety just yet, but that's the plan as of right now. They are hoping, if you guys recall your setup from last year where the Natural Resources Board was positioned, they'll be near where those spots were. Not exactly. I'll show you on the maps when we put those together. In discussions with other members of staff, we are kind of shifting around where the city's booths are going to be, especially because now we have the Centennial booth to account for. So like I said, with the Rotary setup, I'll also include, our new setup into the maps, and I'll share that with you as soon as we have those available, and then we can discuss as needed. We have a meeting scheduled for February 8th with Waste Management. So myself and a few other members of staff will be discussing the necessary requirements for our annual household shredding and household waste recycling and electronic recycling event. Donna, you had confirmed that the art club will be at the event again this year. And you said grades 6, 7, and 8 will be participating in the art contest.
Yes,
Is that correct?
and we will do the face painting, too.
And the face painting as well?
Oh, good.
Wonderful. And the prizes from the Fine Arts and Music Festival has been confirmed?
I'm pretty sure, I'm like 90% sure that fine art and music people will provide the gift cards again this year.
Okay, fantastic.
Felicia, can I ask a question? Is the city, do they do like any promotional type things, like, T-shirts or things like that, can they sell them there at the festival? Or is there gonna be like a special time that's gonna be like a big, like Arbor Day or like 4th of July?
The Centennial booths, which will be at every event this year, they'll be selling their Centennial merchandise. So they have the challenge coins, and it's slipping my mind what other merchandise they will be
They have
selling.
bags.
They had the
and
calendar.
caps and a magazine, a 100-year magazine, and pins. There's pins. There's no T-shirts. I don't see any T-shirts, but they do have all that stuff in that city tent.
Okay. Another thing too, since we're having beer at the events, is that something where we could do like mugs? And maybe, where they have a nice reusable mug, the Centennial mug where they can go get their beer at a discount if they buy a mug. That kind of thing.
We had a cup that was, had a logo on it that was compostable. It was plastic.
Yeah, but I'm thinking something that they just take home and use it at home as well, Just a thought.
Yeah, we can certainly look into it.
Okay.
Let you know what we find.
Excellent ideas.
Right.
Is there anything else for Earth Day, Arbor Day celebration? Yes, it
Yes.
looks like there is.
Yes. Just wanted to let you know that Alexis Peralta from Indian River County Stormwater has confirmed that she's willing to host the chalk art contest, which I know we haven't had in a few years. So
Yay.
that's very exciting. And the rest of the Natural Resources Department from the county, their coastal division, lagoon, and stormwater will all be there. So
good.
we're looking forward to having them at the event.
I don't think they've ever been there. The
I'm
county.
not sure if the rest of the department has been, but I believe Alexis was there a few years ago. And Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were over at the concrete pad by the canoe launch for their chalk art setup.
Yeah, that was my understanding. I would reach out, or I can reach out if you want me to Alexis. I think that still works for them. At one point, she did mention that she gets a little bit less traffic, so maybe we could have signs making sure that or including it in something like the scavenger hunt. So people are, particularly children, are more encouraged to go over and make sure that they participate. But yes, they've typically been over in that area.
And are we going to have the poster for the Earth Day that we can start posting, or some type of flyer for the Earth Day?
I have a save the date flyer drafted if you'd like to.
Well, you remember when we got the nice poster that had like the graphics on it, said Earth Day, Sebastian?
Right. I don't have anything further than the save the date because we don't have all the details set up yet. I mean, I can come up with something.
Just so we can start setting it out there, because there's so many festivals coming up, and I just want to make sure we get ours out there.
I was thinking maybe we should give ourselves a little bit of a deadline to make that, to get together.
The poster?
Like, obviously, we want to say what bands are coming and yada yada, or what our entertainment will be, possibly what our food trucks might be. Maybe we should give ourselves a date to get that together so that, you know what I mean?
Right.
We're working towards a deadline.
Well, let's work on that, and let's update that at the next meeting, and if we have to deadline it, then we will. Thank you very much, Mr.
How are we doing with food trucks?
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't want another fiasco like this weekend.
Or last year.
Yes. So I have not gotten any responses from food vendors yet. If there's any food vendors that you would like to see at the event or you think would be suitable for the event, please let me know. I think we've discussed this before, but there's the concern of some vendors don't want to have the single day event. Some of them only want to go to the 2-day or the 3-day events. So we have to keep that in mind when we're inviting people.
Single day event. That's what it is.
But I will, send out notices to whatever food truck vendors that we have in mind that we'd like to see come to the event.
Do you
this
have
year.
the sound guy confirmed?
We do not.
Okay, we want to do that, and we still want to have that backup available too, just in case. That was fun last Earth Day. Good thing I can speak loudly.
Felicia and I had talked about possibly asking Robert Johnson, who ended up being our sound guy in the end, and also we were going to ask him back to be, one of the entertainers as well.
Yeah, sure, whatever we got to do.
Unless somebody had. Who does it when you guys do things for Rotary?
We don't have a sound.
They all set up.
Yeah,
for
everybody
themselves.
sets up their own stuff. The bands bring their own sound, each one. And,
Yeah. And how much time do you give them in between to set up all of their? 10,
15 minutes.
Okay.
Right around there. And then the regular, really, we only have Brew Fest, and that's and then we had Shrimp Fest, and that's a 3-day event.
Yeah.
But everybody brings their own.
Everybody does their own.
Go ahead.
Do we have seeds to do seed packets?
We have the seeds. We need to make more packets.
So
I think I'll have to double check how many envelopes we have for the seeds, but we do have plenty of seeds
Well,
left.
we need to get rolling on that. I mean, if we could pick a date even that we could start.
So we need food vendor trucks, and we got to start working on that because I would suspect a lot of them are already booked at this point, to be honest with you. Having to deal with this for the last few years and just getting a DJ 6 months in advance is not easy. So, and now with all these people that have moved here, so food vendors, whatever else we got to do, it's just a single day event. Anything in additional for the Earth Day Arbor Days?
Charles, do the local clubs ever come out and make their own food?
Well, that's actually what we do for, well, it used to be Shrimp Fest, now it's River Days. We actually set up our own kitchen, and we got this very nice large kitchen that we bring from a storage unit we hook up the ovens, the dishwasher, and everything.
So I
And
don't know
think
why the local, moose, elks, whatever, can't set up something and as a fundraiser.
we could ask for sure, but I know like clubs like ours, we're topped. And one of the problems is we're such a small area and we do so many events already. So I'm having difficulty with the nonprofits. Like I'm actually president elected at large for the Rotary Club this year, and our one of our biggest complaints is we're just overwhelmed. We don't have the manpower. We're a group of 30, and we're trying to raise tens of thousands of dollars, and we can't do another event. But you're right, we can ask others. But there's also we'll figure it out. Let's bring it up at the next meeting, and let's work
Can
this
I
out.
make one suggestion? I know that there are other one-day events in the city that have food vendors, and you should be able to access those food vendors because they have to put in the same vendor packet for those one-day events. The Art Club does not have any food in our events, but I know the Craft Club does, and I'm sure that if you look at the different events, the smaller of one-day events, you should be able to go and find the food vendors there that have done it in the past. I mean, that taco man, the taco truck is always there.
What about, is there a possibility we could do like a community picnic? Where we could have, like the big, like the barbecue pits and just do hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken, potato salad, baked beans, corn on the cob. Just keep it real simple and just have city, I don't know who could do it, but it would be like a city-sponsored event, not just vendors coming in.
I think
Well, that's why we
they're
benefit
gonna do that,
nonprofits to-
they're gonna do that in December for the 100 years. They're gonna do something like that. They're gonna
Oh,
have a
okay,
birthday cake and ice cream and things like that. But you'd have to plan that a lot more than what time we have right now.
There is a Facebook page that is specifically for food vendors, and you can just go on there and make an announcement. Just say, I need this many or this kind, or this is the event.
Would you send that information in to Ms.
Sure.
Gordon? Fantastic. All right, well, let's keep kicking this around this next few weeks till our next meeting. Let's put this as top of mind, though, because we didn't have any real food last year. It was okay, we still had a good time. We had one food truck, I think, and but we're going to do what we can. All right, is there any additional comments for Earth Day, Arbor Day celebration?
I have just a couple more
Okay.
comments. To kick off from the entertainment discussion that we were having earlier, last meeting, we discussed the possibility of speaker sessions in lieu of having a specific volunteering activity. And we have some interest from some local organizations for potential speakers. Alexis Peralta actually expressed interest in doing a speaker session. The members of the ELC expressed interest, Marine Resources Council, and Nikki Monroe with UF-IFAS are all potentials for our speaker sessions.
Fantastic.
And as we typically discuss the Be a Gopher Tortoise activity, we have confirmed that the Gopher Tortoise Alliance will be joining us for that, and I will keep you posted as to, of course, along with the rest of the mapping setup, I'll keep you posted as to where they will be located, so that way we can coordinate with them for the day of the event.
Awesome. Yay.
Who's working on the scavenger hunt? We have somebody that's working on that. Are we going to just use the same one from last year, or?
I think we should update it
Yeah.
from last year, but we do not have anybody assigned to
Well,
that.
I think that, I mentioned at one of the other meetings that maybe if we do have vendors that are using sustainable products, we make that part of the scavenger hunt so that they'll get, acknowledged for the fact that they're trying something. I mean, it would just be that means that the scavenger hunt has to visit that vendor, so they'll probably buy something there.
Right. No, that's the whole idea behind what we're doing. Earth Day, everything sustainability to lead to profitability. And that's what we're doing. The balance of business and the environment. That's
Felicia, why
really
don't you
good
send last year's scavenger hunt to all of us so we can take a look at it?
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll come up with some ideas how to change it and update it.
So it looks like our next meeting is going to be a pretty important one. Okay, is there any additional comments? I think you got another one, Felicia? Is there another comment?
No, that was it between the
was it?
entertainment and the
Okay,
corporate tortoise activity.
excellent.
Since we were on scavenger hunt, we also need prizes. So if anybody has any companies that they use here that, in the city that might be able to give us some things for the scavenger hunt prizes, please reach out to them.
And are we sending out the letters to the vendors already?
By letters, you,
We used to send out the letters to the vendors for Earth Day, for all the other vendors. We used to send them out in November.
are you saying an invitation to join
Yeah,
us? Or,
right.
so I've started with the environmental organizations and the food vendors, trying to get those locked in as soon as possible, and then send out to the remainder of the merchandise vendors.
You may want to send those out as soon as possible, because we used to do it in November, and by this time we'd be sweating if they all weren't coming back. Because we only got 2 meetings left, and you'll be surprised. So again, by the next meeting, it's going to be top of mind. Okay, is there any additional questions for Earth Day or Arbor Day celebration? It does look like we got some work coming up for us this next month. The celebration is Saturday, April 20th, down at Riverview Park. What is it, from 8 till 4? What's the times?
9 to 4.
9 to 4. And then vendors want to set up early. And then we'll talk about all the other setup as we go. Anything additional for Earth Day, Arbor Day celebration? Okay, not seeing any. We'll go on to number 9, new business. Is there any new business we need to discuss other than what we've already discussed? Okay, not seeing any. Any items for the next agenda other than the rest of my proposal? Okay, and if no one has anything else for the next agenda, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Tom.
And I will second.
Thank you, Donna. Can I get an aye for motion for adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
And this meeting is adjourned.